In this video, I'm going to show you how to change the batteries in both the transmitter and receiver of a Dogtra IQ Mini. This particular model is Ed's. It's for his personal dog, Rosie. She's a Shih Tzu. He's had this particular one for about 5 years, so this is the first time we're changing a battery in this unit. Rosie's a pretty decent dog. Ed only uses vibrate feature on this unit. So to change batteries, we're going to need the receiver, the transmitter, a Phillips screwdriver, and then batteries for each unit. So we'll start with the receiver, and you will need to remove the collar. Set that aside. So if we're looking at the base, or the back, I guess you could say, of the receiver, there's 4 Phillips screws. These need to come out, and it doesn't matter what order or how you do it. They just all 4 come out. If you've never changed the batteries in your unit before, they're probably going to be pretty tight to get out, so just make sure that you don't wreck your screws. Just go nice and slow. You might have to put quite a bit of pressure to unscrew them. And then very important, make sure you don't misplace your screws. You definitely need all 4 of them. All right. So once we get 4 screws out, putting pressure on one end and then putting pressure on the tabs, you should be able to pull it apart. And so this is our 2 sides. So the end case we're going to set aside for now. This is your battery. So this is the battery that we're going to be replacing. You can see here it's attached by a little white box. All you need to do is apply a little bit of pressure, and that should pull right out. So then you've disconnected your old battery, and we'll get our new battery. So putting our new battery in, and you can see here that there's 2 small prongs on this end, and if we flip it over, there's just a small divot or prong on this end. They will fit if you're looking at the white box. Oops. If you're looking at the white box that the prongs sit into, you'll be able to see which way they go in. So your two prongs go on the outside, facing out. And it's a little bit tedious because it's a smaller, but you just push it slightly in. So it should push in and you'll hear it clip. So that is all the way in. You can give a little tug like that and it shouldn't come out. So once you've got your battery in, it is also important, and I'll point it out with the screwdriver here, this green on the outside of the plastic is like a rubber gasket. This is what makes your unit waterproof. So it's very important that you have that gasket back in the receiver before you put your top case on. So, and there's not a really whole lot of rhyme or reason of how the battery itself sits in here. So it just can get placed on the outer end. It should sit opposite of your yellow coil here on the end. So you can kind of see like that. It should sit like that in the receiver box. And push that all together, and then it should snap back together like that. So then all you're going to simply do then is put your screws back in. And again, make sure that you're not cross-threading your screws. I like to do, like I'll put this one in almost all the way tight. And then I'll go ahead and put the opposite screw in. It's not a necessity, it's just what I like to do. I just like to make sure that the receiver itself is seated evenly, you know, again, so you don't have any leaking with water, anything like that. So I'll put that one in almost tight, and then we'll go back up here. Screw this in. And you'll be able to tell if you've cross-threaded your screws. It'll be extremely hard to get them back in. A little bit of tension you will notice when you're putting the screws back in, but it shouldn't be, you know, nearly impossible to get them screwed back in. If you're noticing that, take the screw back out, seat it properly, and then you can start screwing it back in. So once I've got all 4 of my screws in, then I'll go back and tighten them all down. And they do need to be screwed all the way down as tight as they will go. Otherwise you will end up with leaking issues. Taking the screws on and off is probably the most tedious part of doing this. All right, and you can see our 4 screws are back in, and we're all good to go. You can pull it, nothing's coming apart. So then we can put our collar back on. And we are good to go with the receiver. Okay, so now we're going to change the battery in the transmitter. So transmitter, if you flip it upside down, you'll see a small screw here and a small screw at the bottom. Those need to be taken out. So again, applying pressure. I'm going to switch to a different screwdriver. Applying pressure. Make sure that you're not stripping out your screws. Like I said with the receiver, if you're noticing, or if you have never changed the battery before, the screws might be a little bit difficult to get out, so just take your time. Quite a bit of pressure applied. You will need, there's no tool provided to take these out, so you will have to, you know, use your own Phillips screwdriver to take them apart. So once both screws are out, it's just a little bit of pressure, and the back plate and front plate should come apart. Like so. All right, so we have our back off. And if you've never changed your battery before, they will have a foam plate on here. It's not necessary for your new battery. Your new battery won't have that on it. But we peel this battery out. And then again, you'll see, just like the receiver, there's a little white box. So we're just going to apply a little bit of pressure. And pull that out. There we go. And then so your old battery, we can toss that bad boy aside. We'll get our new battery here. And simply going to push the new battery in, you'll hear it snap. And then really no specific way, again, that this needs to sit in your transmitter, just as long as it sits, you know, it's seated comfortably in the bottom. So once we've got that in there, we will close our transmitter. Oh, see, it didn't like me there. They're kind of a pain because you got some wires and stuff you got to squeeze in there, but you should be able to hear it snap like that, closed. And then again, we're just going to replace our screws. It doesn't matter if you do the top or the bottom first. Like with the receiver, I'll tighten them down a little bit of the way and then tighten the second one down and then go back and tighten the first one, just so that your receiver or your transmitter is seated properly. Like I said, that's not a necessity, it's just how I put them together. Peace of mind. Alright. We've got those tight. Alright, moment of truth. So we'll turn our transmitter on. Looks like she's up to 100. We don't need that. Alright, so we're going to pair our red dot with our red dot. We should see the green light come on. There we go. And we'll do the pager, because that's the vibrate. We can hear that, and we'll see our green light turn on here. And then when we hit the button, we'll see our green light turn on here. So we know that batteries are good, changed, and we're good to go.